happen too often, but it's happened twice in the last month, and I love it. And this is actually one of our most popular hosts, Miss Eckler or Theresa from. Go ahead and get
The Limitless Classroom. You might not recognize it because I have my regular teaching sign, but yeah, over at the Limitless Classroom. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, and I'm so excited to return.
And even if you don't remember her name, you might remember what she did, which was Crack the Code, which got an insane amount of views. And she's here again to kind of go over what that is. And we're going to kind of chat about what this school year has looked like.
Yeah.
So, and I want to invite everybody who is listening in, like, tell us how it's going. We kind of know it's going a little rough, like, we'll be honest with you. So it's okay. Like, feel free to vent. This is a great time to vent. And then, yeah, Theresa, tell us what's going on with you and your kids.
Yeah, so I teach fourth grade, and I am in the state of New York. So we were hit pretty hard with COVID-19 back in the spring. So we've been extra cautious in our state, but right now we are fully virtual. So I'm fourth grade fully virtual, and it's actually been a little bit of a challenge because we have faced some budget cuts. So I don't know if anyone who is listening is in a state who's also going through that as well, but right before school started, we found out that we were going to have 20% of our state budget withheld. And so that has just been very hard for our school. So the only part of my district that was able to open in person is our pre-K to 2 building. And then grades 3 through 12 are completely virtual. And we don't really know how long that's going to be for. We are all crossing our fingers, hopeful that we will get back in person, but we are just kind of going with the flow of it right now. So I'm teaching from my bedroom. So I had to, get some decor up and make it feel a little bit homey. But yeah, it's been different for sure. It has its challenges.
And I was asking you earlier before we came live, how are your kids dealing with this? Which, teachers, tell us, how are your kids dealing with this compared to you? Because it's always different.
Yeah, the kids honestly have been amazing. I could not be more proud of them. I feel like they just rise to any occasion. You would think they've been virtual learning this whole time, right? Anytime we kind of roll out, well, this is how we're going to do our notebooks now. They're going to be digital notebooks. The kids are like, sure. And they open them right up. I honestly think it's been so much more of a transition for teachers. I've been teaching 12 years and I feel like a first year teacher, but the kids have really been handling it fantastically. So I know that they're just happy to see their teacher's face, their classmates. I know that they're anxious to get back to the classroom, but they are making the absolute best of it. So it reminds me that I can make the best of it too, even when we have days where, the technology doesn't want to work and it's a little bit hard. So they've been doing amazing with it.
And you were telling us about power outage in your school district, just like figured it out.
Yeah, just like last week, we had a crazy microstorm kind of blow through the capital region, and we lost power pretty much all over the area. It was actually the largest power outage we've had since Hurricane Irene back in 2011. But the students who were home and had power logged right in, and so it was just kind of crazy, kind of this new adjustment of now that we have virtual learning. It definitely gives us some options. Like there's even been talk of snow days. Are we gonna have snow days, or are we just gonna have those be virtual learning days? Which I'm all for, as long as teachers get out earlier for summer.
Yeah, that's fair. We have hurricane days. I would have totally taken that as an option because half the time the hurricane didn't show up, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
And Theresa, you were talking one of the challenges of having online learning is keeping kids active, especially in lower grades. K through 5, you guys get out a lot. It's just part of learning for K through 5. So what are you doing to keep kids active and digitally?
Yeah, so we have a lot of breaks that are built into our schedule, which is amazing. Our administrators really recognize that kids are going to need breaks to be up and moving from their computers. And so we have a lot of movement breaks that we do throughout the day. We use Go Noodle a lot, which is completely free for teachers. So you can go on and get the kids doing these fun little like dance routines to move along. And my new favorite, if you don't already follow Josie Bensko, she runs the Instagram Maniacs in the Middle, but she makes school appropriate playlists on Spotify. And so a lot of
Ooh.
times we'll pull up those playlists and give the kids an opportunity to dance and move their bodies. And they have a lot of fun. She actually just made a TikTok playlist. So it's all these TikTok songs, again, that are school appropriate. So she like quadruple checks all of the songs so that, they're good for your students. But the kids start, doing all these dances, and then I start learning them because I want to, be cool and have them, enjoy our virtual classroom, and they love it. So we do a lot of that during the day, to get them just up and moving and having a lot of fun.
And hi, Maria. It's nice to have you guys. Great. You guys feel free to drop comments. We love comments. And
Ooh, New Jersey, right next door.
and I'm here in Florida, like, it's still hot here. I mean, it's cold in my house. And it's really funny. You're talking about like kid appropriate songs. My daughter has like an obsession with Kid Bops lately because that's what they listen to when she comes into the classroom in the morning. So she wants it in the car now, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Well, we laughed. We hadn't really thought about it. So during our movement breaks, when we're playing music, sometimes there's often siblings who might be virtually learning within the same household or maybe even within the same room. And so at one point I had on music and my kids were moving around, and my co-teacher, we have a set of twins in our classes, and my co-teacher told the child in his class to come tell the twin, tell me to lower the music because they were in the middle of math, and he was just joking around, but it was pretty funny.
I always forget that, especially with the siblings. I mean, they're everyone's in it together.
I know, it's so true. And parents, like, how amazing are these parents doing managing all of this when they're not familiar with the platforms and have multiple children across different grade levels. So, I mean, I feel like we got to give them a lot of credit too. They have been working so hard, making it all happen on their end. So it's been a community effort, I would say.
It's a time to be a parent right now.
Yeah.
It's a time. And, for those of you that are joining us, if you never caught Theresa's first broadcast during the summer, we talked about Crack the Code. And I'm going to let her actually give you an introduction on what that is, so everyone's kind of in the same, understands what's going on today.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I started in my classroom quite a few years ago was this idea of a Crack the Code, where students are essentially doing a scavenger hunt style activity. There are 6 challenges that the students have to complete in small teams in the classroom. And what I do is I make each of these challenges a different content area. That way all students really feel like they can succeed. So there's typically a math problem, a reading passage that they have to work through, a science or social studies, some sort of like a STEM hands-on challenge. And so the kids have to really work on some of, I call them like life skills, cooperating with one another. Yeah, listening to each other's ideas, how to agree to disagree respectfully. Maybe that's something, some of the people across this country could really do. Maybe everyone needs to be doing a Crack the Code to work on skills.
A life skill for everyone.
Life skills for everyone. And so it's a lot of fun, and it really challenges the students. And we do one every single month of the school year. And it's a little rough at the beginning of the year because the kids are used to us kind of holding their hand somewhat. And when things get hard, I need help and show me how to do it. And really, we're just showing them that we know how to do it when we just jump right in and kind of save them. And so it's almost for some of them the first time that they're like, oh my gosh, my teacher's not going to help me with this. I just got to keep trying to figure it out. And it's honestly amazing. The kids learn so much, and every month you see this transition of their perseverance getting a little bit stronger, their confidence building, their ability to work with one another improves. It's really amazing. And so we've always done them in the classroom. And as soon as we found out that we were going to be going virtual, actually, even a little bit before that, when I started getting just a little nervous that we might be going virtual, I said to myself, I have to figure out a way to make these digital, so that students can still be participating in these activities, because it is absolutely their favorite thing that we do in my classroom. And my mom is also a teacher. I can't remember if I mentioned that last time, but my
No,
mom's a great teacher. And so we often kind of collaborate ideas together. And she's always giving me the same feedback with her students, that they just absolutely love doing these challenges and look forward to doing them every month. So we worked really hard to convert them into a digital format to make them accessible, whether you are in person, hybrid, or virtual teaching from home like me.
That's awesome. And do you mind showing everybody kind of what it looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So this one that I have pulled up is the October Crack the Code. I would say it's one of my personal favorites. It does not really address anything Halloween specific, just to kind of really make it inclusive for everybody. So I try to keep it pretty generic for all students. But so it's broken up into 3 sections. There's grades 4 through 5 have their own version of clues. There's a grades 2 and 3 version, and then there's also a grade 1. And my favorite part of these, which you'll see in just a minute, is that you can interchange clue cards between the grades. So if you have a student who maybe is at a lower reading level, you don't have to give them the clue card from the grade 4 through 5 version. You could get them the reading passage from the 1st grade or even the 2nd, 3rd grade version. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to make sure that all students are finding activities that really are right where they're at academically to help them feel successful. So this is what it looks like. We have a beginning clue card that just gets them excited, and typically they are finding out in the beginning clue card, like, what's the overall challenge. So in this one, every time the students complete one of the 6 challenges, they get a piece of a Frankenstein, and for the final challenge they have to put that Frankenstein all together. And I try to make it just rhyming and fun so the kids really get into it. So here's an example of clue 1. It is clearly a math challenge, and it's a little bit of a brain teaser. So again, even within the 4th and 5th grade game, there's a few choices. So here is one math choice where the students would have to figure out what that bottom number sentence equals. This one, I'm going to actually zoom out a little bit so that I can scroll. This one is a little bit easier, where students are just working on some adding and subtracting, and there's a different value that is given for each of those pictures. And again, it just changes slightly. The values can either get harder or easier, but it just gives you a lot of that flexibility. And then same with this one, more of a simplified addition, adding across those different pictures. And then in the grade 1 version, you'll see that it is a little bit more simplified. So students are working with 10 frames, since it's still kind of fairly, new at the beginning of the year. How many pieces of candy are there? And they can be counting right on the screen. How many in all? Maybe if they've moved beyond counting to 10, this gives them an option to go all the way up to 20. And if you really want to challenge some of those students, maybe they are students who excel in math, giving them a version that's a little bit harder. So a lot of flexibility between all of the different grades, and you can just figure out which one fits best for your students. So I'm going to go back up just to the 4th and 5th grade version. But again, just know that there's a lot of different options in here for all students. So here is an example of a reading passage. So they're going to be reading about bats, learning some nonfiction true information about the bats. And after they read this passage, which again comes in different levels, digitally, the students are going to see a list of bats right here in the middle, and they're going to have to sort the bats between which ones are true facts and which ones are false. So they would simply click the bat and drag it over to the side if it was a true fact about a bat, or if it was false. And again, I really set these up just like they run in the print version, which is what I've always done in my classroom. So in the classroom, there would actually be bats that the students would have to also sort true and false. And then based off of how they sort them, the bats are actually going to spell a code word. You'll notice that there's a letter on each wing of the bat, and they'll need that code word to move on to the next clue. And next, we're heading over to a pumpkin puzzle challenge. This one is really fun. It's almost similar to like a tangram, where there's lots of different pieces, and the students can go ahead and click and drag the pieces right onto the template to recreate that pumpkin. And to be honest, it's quite challenging, right? So a lot of spatial reasoning, knowing how the shapes fit together. And depending on the level of your students, there's lots of varieties for how many pieces are included. So you can make it as simple or as hard as you would like. And then in the first grade version, again, really trying to simplify it. So even our little first grade friends can feel really successful putting the puzzle together. After they do the puzzle, there is a fun secret decoder that the students are going to be looking at. And again, this is part of that perseverance where you don't really tell them how the secret decoder works, other than a little hint in the clue card. Look for the letters in the bottom row and find the matching letter from the top row. And when they go ahead and do that on the secret decoder, they would type in their answers here, which tells them next clue, so they know that they're ready to move on to the next one. And then the last two challenges are spooky STEM. This one took me a minute to figure out how to make it digital, because if you are a fan of those delicious pumpkin candies that are always on sale during this time of year, in the printable version, students actually have the challenge of using those pumpkin candies and toothpicks to make a structure. And I couldn't really grasp, how do I make a STEM challenge without having their hands on something? So what I came up with was some pumpkin writing using those little pumpkin candies. So you actually can click and drag the candies onto the template, and the students are going to be spelling certain words using those candies. So they almost have to really think hard about how big to make their letters so that their whole word would fit. And then for our younger friends, where that might be quite advanced for them, it's a little more simple, where they could just be making a letter. So for them, they would be making the letter P for pumpkin. And you can even give them, on this option, the placement for those pumpkins to go, so that they really feel comfortable doing it. And then the very last challenge is going to be putting together a Frankenstein. So they have all the pieces here that they've collected along the way, and they can move it to design their own Frankenstein. So it's just a lot of fun. The kids absolutely love it. And it is something that is very challenging, that works on a lot of different skills. So I always save it for the end of the month. That way the kids look forward to it, and we kind of work all month on talking about the different things that we can improve as far as collaborating, working together, problem solving, things like that. And then we put them to the test doing the crack the codes at the end of the month. So that's the October one. So I'm very excited to have it digital, so that my fourth graders and all of you who are watching, that your students can be enjoying it, whether you are in person or at home virtual.
And I did, guys, if you want it, I did drop it in the chat. There's the digital link to TPT, and also the paper copy link to TPT. So hopefully you guys can go visit Theresas Store, look around. I mean, you have it for every season, right?
Yeah, I have it for every season, and then I just love them so much. I'm amazed by the teamwork that the kids are able to use. And so I started making even specialty ones. So there's a March Madness one, there's a character education one where they have to collect the keys to success. So a lot of specialty ones are included too. So they are so much fun. But yes, there are two different bundles. One is just the digital version, and one is just the printed version, so that you can kind of choose which one you're more comfortable with for your students.
And how cool is it that everything's differentiated? Like you can plug and play wherever you need to, like be a grade level. That's awesome. That's
Yeah, thank you so much. And I love having it in Google Slides because, they don't have to leave to a website or leave to a Google form. Everything that they need is right in that Google slide in one spot for them. And what I do is I simply just delete any of the clue cards that my students don't need once I've decided which levels I want to give them. And then you just can share it via Google Classroom and send them on their way. So it's a lot of fun.
And for those that are joining us, because we're going to actually replay this again, I would love to replay this again this week. If you want to drop a comment before Friday, we are giving away. Teresa's actually been very generous, and she's going to give away one of her entire packets of
Yeah.
the code, which is how awesome! That's like a whole year of fun for.
Yeah, it'll be an entire year of Practicodes, and I'll actually do the digital and the printed version. That way you have both options to choose from. So definitely let us know if you're watching in the comments. Let us know what grade you teach, how you're surviving virtual learning. We're all kind of going through it together. But yes, I would love, love, love to share that with one lucky winner for hopping on and joining us tonight. So thank you guys all for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next week. And in the meantime, you'll probably see this replayed again. If you need anything, of course, just drop a comment. We'll be monitoring the chat all week. Have a great one, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.